Here with Reaction. He's the host of Unfiltered. There's no such thing as a filtered Dan Bongino anyway. Dan Bongino's with us. And the co-host of the hit show The Five, Geraldo Rivera. We all know there's no filtered Geraldo as well. Geraldo, I'll just throw the question at you. Tell me what Joe Biden and the Democratic Socialists, tell me what they've done, what policies are working for the American people. I'd love to hear it.
Well, first of all, I was brought up to respect my elders, and Joe Biden and I are the same age, so I'm very defensive of him, perhaps more so than I should be.
Let me step in your defense here. Geraldo,
go ahead.
We're friends. Dan Bongino will back me up. I promise you. You are sharp, you are bright, you are articulate, you are engaged. You are no Joe Biden. Dan, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'll let Geraldo take it from here, but that's a bit. You're not making the point you think you're making, Geraldo. But go right ahead, make it anyway.
Well, I submit, Dan, that there are times when you seem dazed and confused, but don't hold me. And you're half my age. That's but I feel badly for President Biden. It's obvious this is a staff failure all around. I mean, someone should have reminded him that the
wait a minute.
Congresswoman
I hate to interrupt. This is wrong of me to do this, but I'm going to add one thing. I feel bad for the country. I feel bad for the poor, the middle class, people on fixed incomes that are suffering because of his failed policies. I put them above one person.
Oh, sure we do, Sean. But this is a case where the White House could have very easily said he misspoke, he apologizes, he's called the family, and regret. I mean, when I write about or talk about anybody, I check in Wikipedia whether they're alive or dead. I mean, my staffers should have done that. Should have done that. They should have be cleared on the teleprompter and so forth. Judge him by the policy. It's nice that he had this program to end world hunger. That should be what we're talking about, particularly with this horrible mess in Florida, so many people suffering. We need a president who is compassionate. We have a governor down there who's compassionate and effective, DeSantis. So they're working in a bipartisan way. I'm not sure this is the day where we single out a guy's flub, when it could have very easily been corrected by a staffer.
Dan?
Okay. Number one, on the dazed and confused thing, my brother, you were like a Studio 54 guy back in the day, so I'm going to take a hard pass on dazed and confused. You probably, Geraldo, there are probably decades of your life you don't even remember. So
that's another story. We can talk about that.
Day. But we can another time, maybe on a radio show or something. But having said that, no, you're reading this thing entirely wrong. Okay, respect for your elders and respect for the power of the office of the presidency are two different things. I respect my elders. I'm not mad at Joe Biden because he's clearly suffering some kind of frontal lobe deficit that a lot of senior Americans at that age, it may be me too at that age, will suffer. It's a serious thing. You know, I went to graduate school for neuropsychology. I'm very serious about this stuff. It's not a joke. It's not funny. Having said that, the man's the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military machine in the history of planet Earth. I mean, he could literally, not figuratively, annihilate the planet tomorrow morning. It's not too much to ask to have the guy know who's alive and dead in a room, especially when you're a rather prominent congresswoman who was involved in an accident just about everybody involved in politics knows about. Here's point number two that you're missing too. I've got a little bit of experience in this space. The president of the United States, every single footstep he takes is marked out. Everything he's going to do is put down and he's briefed on it. You will do this. You will work a rope line right to left. You will exit stage left. You will take 6 pictures, 6 police, 2 fire photos afterwards. Everything he does is lined out. How the hell is this guy always confused about what to do after an event? I'll tell you, you don't see this with any other president. Not to the degree with this guy. Why is it? I've done 100 of these events, if not more, because they brief him on what to do. He's clearly cognitively impaired, and he forgets. Geraldo, it's no more complicated than that.
Come on,
and you should not
what
be
about
this
the
guy
Academy
a free pass.
Awards? What about the Emmys? What about the Emmys, the Academy Awards? A person wins the statuette, then they don't know where to go. They don't know where to go because it's a new setting, a new kind of physical space.
They're not setting off nuclear explosives at the Academy Awards. They're actors.
I forget what I had for lunch today.
Are you seriously putting these two people on par? Come on, man. You're not being serious right now. You're telling me like Brad Pitt and Joe Biden have the same level of importance? Brad Pitt was the guy in that Christian Slater movie who was dazed and confused on the couch, wasn't he? It's not the same job, man. I mean, come on. The guy is the commander-in-chief of the United States military. If you're telling him exit stage right, shake hands with this guy and leave, and he forgets 5 minutes later, you know, Geraldo, one more thing. I don't want to monopolize the segment, but we're not the only ones watching this. Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and Vladimir Putin are watching this too. They clearly know the man has some frontal lobe deficit.
Ask Vladimir Putin. Ask Dan, my brother, ask Vladimir Putin whether or not Joe Biden is formidable or senile. Ask him about how U.S. intelligence totally blew the whistle on Putin's invasion of Ukraine and have backed Ukraine
let me
and
get this
President
back on
Zelensky
track.
in a very
Geraldo, I want to ask
admirable
a
way
question.
and stun the Russians.
Geraldo, do you believe everybody
right.
around Joe Biden sees what we're talking about? Do they see what's happening to this guy? Yes or no? Are they aware of it? Probably more.
I don't know
probably
what's
way more than we know.
happening to this guy, Sean. Some people grow
the cognitive
older
mess
at
that
a
he
different
is,
rate.
Geraldo.
They don't have the same smooth
Because
moves.
let me tell you, Geraldo, if I saw you on TV, and you were, and this was you on a regular basis, I would fly to where you are. I would sit down with you, and I'd say, "You've had an incredible 50-year career. Please, please, it's time to retire." But you're not that way.
52, and I appreciate the sentiment. I do, because you would be kind to me. He's the neglect of the president.
Why aren't the people around him kind to him?
Kind.
Dan.
Sean, I got to get a word in here. I'm sorry. Be kind. You want kind? Get a freaking dog, bro. This is the president of the United States. You want a dog to get a dog and lick your feet. My dog is great. She's a submissive. She pees when I come in the house. She gets so excited. I don't want the president doing that too. I mean, be kind. And then your point before about Vladimir Putin thinks Biden's a tough guy. He waited for Trump to leave office before he invaded Ukraine. What are you talking about? I mean, I don't even know how that makes any sense.
He invaded Ukraine, and as a result, Russia is going down the primrose path, much to the chagrin of many people on the right in American politics.
Not after killing
we can
tens of
debate
thousands
that.
of
But
Ukrainians.
Biden did the right thing, and he has done the right thing.
I want Putin
Sean,
out.
sorry.
All right, let's give Dan the last word tonight. We started with you, Geraldo.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know what you're talking about. He clearly is not respected by world leaders. When Trump was in office, there was no serious threat to cross the strait into Taiwan by China. That's happening every day now. Kim Jong-un's threatening his 7th nuclear test, and Vladimir Putin is annexing portions of Ukraine. I have no idea what you're talking about by they respect this guy. They're laughing at him. I wish they weren't. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm proud of my country. But let's not be silly here. Nobody respects this guy.
Dan, good to see you, and thank you. And by the way, I'll add one other name, Geraldo. Bernie Sanders, as sharp as a tack. He's older than Biden.
True.
He's not. He doesn't skip a beat. This guy.
He's got 3 houses. He's a capitalist.
Where's Jackie? Or shaking thin air? Kind of embarrassing. All right, thank you both. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.